Welcome back, cobbers and cobbettes. It's old mate I Read Reddit, back at it again with some more I Don't Work Here Lady stories. Now, before we throw a shrimp on this Barbie, you've got to do me a solid and just caress that subscribe button, just like Steve Owen caressed our hearts each and every day all those years ago. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, fellas and Sheilas. I hope you all love these ones. So I worked as an armed guard for an armed truck service. For those of you who don't know, we're responsible for picking up money and checks from other businesses, i.e. banks, stores, restaurants, etc. As part of my job, handling large amounts of money, I carry a sidearm or handgun. For those not into guns, this is in order to protect myself and the money I'm holding. Where I live, you have to have what's called a concealed carry permit to have such firearms outside of work hours, which I do have. So, I'm on my way home, and I have to stop at the store to pick up dinner for myself. The store I go to has employees that wear a blue polo and tan pants. My uniform is black pants and red polo with a company name on it, and as I had just got off work, I still have my name badge on and sidearm in its holster on my hip. Cue crazy lady. I'm browsing the freezer aisle, and she stops me and starts to ask where the product Z is. She stops dead in her tracks, as she sees my gun is in its holster. Stops talking and fast walks out of the aisle. I just assumed she realized I don't work there and left to find someone who does. I go about my business and proceed up to the cashier line. As I'm waiting to get up to the checkout, in comes a swarm of about 8 police officers.
FBI, open up!
They come straight to me with a crazy lady behind them shouting, "That's him! That's the guy with the gun!" They point the guns at me in order to have my hands up. I drop what I have and comply. I state that I work for Company Z and that I have a permit for my weapon. They lower and holster their guns after the commotion and apologize for the confusion, but said they got a call about a guy walking around the store waving a gun around. I say I'm sorry, but since I have been here, my gun has been holstered. Never left the holster. They turn to the lady and ask if it's true that I never took the gun out of the holster. She yells that I'm lying and that I can't have a gun in the store anyway. They of course go and check the security footage and see that I did nothing wrong and let me go on about my business and apologize again for the misunderstanding. They turn around and handcuff the lady who called and told her she's being arrested for misusing the 911 system and inciting panic. Not sure this entirely belongs here, and I'm open to comments. But damn, that sounds crazy. From 2010 until 2014, I worked a walk-in, 15 minutes a cut, quick style salon in the largest shopping center of an extremely small town. The salon was located 2 doors down from the dollar store, for this story in particular. We also shared a parking lot with Walmart on one end and 4 fast food restaurants on the other end, all subjects for different stories. One cannot comprehend the amount of time I spend wandering the shop center, mostly at the behest of others and getting paid for it. Being someone with unmedicated and undiagnosed ADHD, I completed my haircuts with speed and accuracy, all the while chatting up all clients, not just mine, and doing chores and making store runs for the other girls. Even medicated now, I'm not very good at sitting still. I would volunteer for most side jobs and anything that got me out of the store. Being the youngest stylist, with restless and anxious energies to spare, I tended to jump up to greet clients. I unwittingly stole a lot of haircuts. If it was slow and my co-workers needed to make up numbers, a lot of requests from different stores poured onto me. Didn't realize what we were doing until later, part of the reason I left. Anytime you wear an apron to a store with an apron in the uniform, you will get mistaken for an employee. It happened a lot to the other girls and myself, but this might have been due to the size of the town and familiar faces. It doesn't seem to matter that the store's apron is bright green and mine is glitter black vinyl or zebra stripe, or my favorite paisley one. One such day, I was standing in the back of the line at checkout, arms filled with candy, using my incredibly vivid apron as a sling to carry a verified crap ton of super cheap junk food. I turned to look for the child wailing in the distance of the store and confirmed it was a fit and not abuse. Child of a social worker, it's where my brain goes. When I turned back to face the line, I found the lovely elderly lady in front of me chuckling to herself. She met my eyes, saying, "I just did a cartoon like Triple Take when I saw you behind me." She giggles a little. "I saw the apron when I looked for the baby crying." "Oh, I started to turn back around to ask you something and realized your apron wasn't uniform. But then I really had to look at your apron. I think my daughter-in-law, who was a beauty operator, correct term in the 50s, who would love it." I thank her for a compliment and wrote the name of the website I got the apron from down for her. She chuckled again about almost mistaking me for an employee. I told her, it happens every other time I come in here, but most people are pretty nice when I tell them I don't work here. But I'm here often enough, I could probably find it anyway. She tells me, "Aw, that is very sweet." And then her eyes dart toward my shoulder. I realize something has been clearing her throat behind me for some time. I thought it was the next customer, until she tapped my shoulder. I turned, arms filled with a diabetic coma. She steps back, already turning red, realizing her mistake, and starts apologizing. The woman in front of me laughs so hard she has to lean on the counter for support. I try to explain to the Karen what we had just been talking about as she looks mortified. I explain the woman is laughing at the irony, not her mistake. I politely ask what she was looking for in the first place and sent her in that direction. She again apologizes and thanks me profusely, backing away. The lady and I start giggling to ourselves for both of our transactions. She came back to the salon with me and left me a $20 tip for your style, good attitude, and how you handle yourself. She was one of my regulars until I left some years ago. So this happened yesterday, whilst I was out on my usual weekly food shopping trip. Please note this is my very first time posting here and I'm mobile, so apologise for format, possible, bad grammar and spelling. So, a bit of quick info before we begin. I'm a 28-year-old woman and I used to shop regularly and now recognise a lot of the usual cashier staff. I was also wearing a black hoodie, leather jacket, jeans and Converses. This is important for later. I was at my local supermarket. I was just doing my thing, listening to my music and getting my items. I spent a good 20 to 30 minutes gathering the things I needed before heading to the checkout. It was a nice visit thus far and I was in no rush. I headed over to the self-service checkouts. I can get very anxious when I'm out on my own, as I have PTSD and bipolar disorder, and prefer as little human contact as possible, so I generally opt for the self-service tills. That, and I can keep listening to my music without being rude. I get all my items on the belt and wait for the lady ahead of me to finish paying and packing up her items, and I can see an elderly gentleman place one single item down behind mine. And this is where we meet our cast. Me, obviously me, e.g. elderly gent, RW is a rude woman, and SW is a store worker. I take my headphones out and turn towards the elderly gent. I say to him, "Are you just getting the one thing?"
Oh ho ho, yes I am.
"Would you like to go ahead of me? It's not fair on you to wait for me to get through all my things when you only have the one item."
Are you sure?
"Of course. Please." Insert hand gesture to move ahead of me here. I'm in no rush at all. Now, I'm usually socially anxious due to my conditions, but I was also taught to respect my elders and enjoy making their day a little easier if I can. I put one headphone back in and I'm happily waiting when I hear the elderly gent.
How do you work this thing?
Towards the self-service till screen. I put my phone away, come around to my trolley and offer to help the elderly gent and continue to help him finish his transaction. When the rude woman appears behind me, she says, "Who's left this shopping on the belt?" I say, while helping the old gentleman, "Oh, sorry, that's mine."
"Well, what are you doing getting your shopping on the clock? You're here to work, not shop."
What? At this point I'm looking at this woman like, what the frick is going on? Remember I said I was wearing jeans, leather jacket, etc.
You shouldn't be doing your shopping on work time.
Now my anxiety is starting to flare and I'm getting angry. I just want to run. "Look lady, I don't work here. I just want to get my things and go, leave me alone."
"Well, I saw you helping that man."
The old bloke had thanked me and left by this point, and I started to put my things through. Yes, I did. I could see he needed some help and the staff were all busy. Besides, what I do is not your business. Now please leave me alone.
"Well, you're going around helping people at the till, so you have to work here."
I turn to face this woman and say, "Look, I was just trying to be nice and help the man with the till. I'm losing my patience, and this is the last time I'm gonna say it. Leave me alone." Oh, and she didn't leave me alone. FML. She says back to me,
"But you look like you work here."
Now the uniform for the store is green and yellow shirts and green trousers, not black leather jackets and jeans. What the fuck? Seriously? I called over the worker that was keeping an eye on these tills, who I regularly have a chat with when I come in. He says, "Hello, how can I help?"
"You need to have words with this worker. She has been very rude to me."
The worker looks at me, then at the woman. "I'm sorry, miss, but she doesn't work here."
But, she was helping you to...
Just because she was helping someone, it doesn't make her a member of the staff, lady. Thank you, SW. I turned to the rude woman with a big grin on my face. See, I don't work here. Now leave me the F alone. The rude word's face was a mix of anger, shock, and confusion. Absolutely priceless. I left with my shopping with a big smile and nodded towards the awesome co-worker who came to my rescue. Thanks, awesome guy. Sorry that was long. The whole interaction only lasted 5 to 10 minutes though. Lol. I don't really know where to put this one, as technically it's a I don't work here story, but it's a little different as it was very intentional and I was the one mistaking someone for working somewhere. Now just a word or two before the story. I'm happy with what I did, and this might make me a jerk, but I don't regret it. Hey, so one of my closest friends works for Walmart. I met him when I worked there too. The job was god awful. I might do a story of my last day working there. It probably belongs on Reddit. I'll save a description of my friend as it makes for better comedic effect. Now, I personally recommend this sort of action, despite it being slightly rude, and, well, I'll just tell the story. You decide. Story time. So, despite my utter disgust and despising of the local Walmart due to my own short employment there, it's the best location for buying specific things like my needed soap and new headphones. And while I'm there, I get to talk to my friend, which I'm not going to describe just yet. Let's call him Ted. On this very specific trip, I was there for headphones and stopped to see Ted, who was not very happy at all, due to what appeared to be the mother of all elitist Karens in the store at the moment, causing trouble and yelling at him and others. Something about piercings and tattoos. I got a funny idea, and didn't know exactly how effective it would be, but I got him to play along. He didn't even have to do very much outside of his normal routine. So I approached the woman looking a little lost. I have no idea why this Karen was here. Older, lots and lots of jewelry, including a fat, heavy golden cross. She looked like the very definition of holier than thou, and apparently she had been making quite the ruckus when the peasant workers couldn't help her to get her exact request. I honestly didn't know why she was in Walmart, but she was about to get a reason not to come back. I tapped her on the shoulder, not just a tap, but a heavy, let me speak to your manager, super entitled tap. She turned to me like she was about to pop a blood vessel. In my best annoying voice, I spoke, "Man, I've been waiting for 5 minutes, where are the headphones?" She practically frothed at the mouth, mid-aneurysm, and started to explode into something I think was supposed to be English. But I just waved her off dismissively and continued,
"You need to learn to treat your customers better. I asked 5 minutes ago, and still no one's helping me."
After a little while longer, she finally managed to get off something about audacity, something, hate you, something, and finally, she doesn't work in this horrid place. I just scoffed.
"Oh, what do you mean you don't work here? Look at ya! Your dime store necklace, dollar store clothes, and your haircut, you look like an angry lesbian. Of course you work here. I mean, just look around, you fit in perfectly."
I pointed at my friend Ted, the metalhead friend, thrashing his 2.5 foot long head of hair savagely to some song called Blood for the Blood God, wearing his kilt, both hands in devil horns, pausing his whiplash, inducing headbanging to screech with his tongue out, all his pagan jewelry flashing as if he let out a long inhuman screech. Needless to say, the woman simply overloaded and horribly offended. She left the store, either having a stroke or trying to use some old Latin exorcism incantation on us. Me and my friend had a good laugh, and he didn't get into trouble, and no one came to talk to me about it. So yeah, I may have been a bit rude, and judge me if you like. She was giving my friend a hard time, and the store couldn't really punish me. So I jumped at the chance to intentionally pretend like I thought she worked there, just to take it down a peg. Alright guys, glad you liked that one. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Drop me a comment, what did I do wrong, what did I do right, which voices do you want to hear, and I'll see you in the new video. See you later.